I am Mamudu Gajaga, and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. Thank you for joining us. His Excellency the President's New Year's message will follow immediately after the end of this news bulletin. And first, a look at our news headlines. A press release from State House says that President Barrow has pardoned 21 prisoners. Carrying on the New Year's message theme, in her New Year's message, the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of the Gambia, Reverend Hannah Fall Haim, has called on followers to be grateful, confident and hopeful in the new year. We also hear New Year messages from Reverend James Allen Yao Adiko, the Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Banjul, and the Most Reverend Dr. Gabriel Mendy, the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Banjul. We visited the so-called black market within the Serekunda market, where young men and women engage in income-generating ventures. And in sports, with 10 days before the Africa Cup of Nations tournament kicks off, we look at some of the favorites. Those were the main news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is the QTV News from our studios. And first, we look at a press release from the State House. A press release from State House says that President Barrow has pardoned 21 prisoners. The press release says that the pardon was made following the recommendations by the Prerogative of Mercy Committee. Among those pardoned are 16 Gambians, one of whom is a female, 3 Senegalese men, and a female Bissau Guinean, and also a Guinean man. And that ends the press release. We still move on with the news. The presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of the Gambia, Reverend Hannah Fall Haim, has called on followers to be grateful, confident, and be hopeful in the new year. Bishop Fall Haim made these remarks in her New Year's message. More in this report by Ajawintu Drame.
In her New Year message for 2022, Bishop Fall Haim says the COVID-19 has affected the globe and has no mercy on any sector, including people's tradition of celebrating New Year's together with family and friends, putting many countries into lockdown. In relation to this, Bishop Fall Haim has called on people to be grateful and confident as stated in the Holy Bible, inspired by Jesus' story.
There is so much in this story that is relevant for today, and that helps us to deal with our own situation of the COVID pandemic today. For example, when we read in the story that the people with a dangerous infectious skin disease met Jesus outside of the village and they kept their distance, we realize that they were doing what we now call social distancing to avoid spreading the infection to other people. In this new year, 2022, let us be thankful to God. Let us follow the example of Jesus, who himself always was thankful to God.
Urging people, especially Gambians, to maintain our harmonious nature, the presiding bishop of the Gambia Methodist Church says people should take the opportunity for this new year 2022 to reflect and be hopeful.
We need to encourage and strengthen each other and help families, especially young people, to join in to contribute to the country and its development. We should be inspired and go forward to the new year in hope.
Bishop Fall Haim reminded people to continue to have trust and hope in God during these difficult moments. Quoting from the Holy Bible, she says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted."
I pray that it will be a year filled with thanksgiving and peace. I pray that God will grant us a year filled with prosperity, joy, and happiness. I pray for peace in our own lives, in our families, communities.
Reverend Hannah Falheim wishes a happy and prosperous New Year 2022 to every Gambian in every part of the world. Ajibintu Dwame, QTV News.
Also delivering his New Year's message, the Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Banjul has called on the people to demonstrate compassion, mercy and forgiveness as we welcome the new year. Bishop Odiko prayed for a world free from COVID and a successful election in the year ahead. Babukar C has the rest of the details.
The bishop touched on many topics as the world welcomes 2022 with high hopes of progress and good health. According to Bishop Odiko, 2021 was challenging, but we continue to pray to God for a successful new year.
The tradition of making resolution for the new year is not as easy as before. The past 2 years have been challenging. The sudden appearance of COVID-19 has changed the development dynamics of the global community. A number of countries are bracing up to introduce new COVID restrictions as the Omicron variant threatens the world. The available vaccines doses are not adequate to combat or manage the new variants. We encourage those who have not taken the full dose of the relevant vaccines to do so as soon as possible.
Bishop Odiko also uses his New Year speech to pray for a peace and transparent elections as the country heads into the local government elections in a few months' time.
We fervently pray that 2022 will be the year of breakthrough for the Gambia. However, as we conclude this message, let us brainstorm with these questions. How can I improve my relationship with God? How can I contribute to make the Gambia better for all? How can I contribute to build on peace and love inherited from our patriotic ancestors? To what extent have I demonstrated compassion, mercy, and forgiveness, and above all, love for others, irrespective of creed, ethnicity, nationality, or political association?
The bishop reminded us of the promise God made to Abraham that by his seed, which is the person of Jesus Christ, all earth will be blessed, thus call on the people to be law-abiding.
Christ was born under the conditions of law so that he might redeem those who were themselves under the curse of the law. As it is written, cursed is everyone who does not continue to do everything written in the book of the law. Friends, the law is not divisible. Failure to obey every aspect of the law brings one under the curse, and therefore one cannot justify before God under the law.
Bishop Odiko ended by wishing the government, mission partners, the Muslim fraternity, and well-wishers a happy new year. Babukar C, QTV News.
Still with the New Year messages, the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Banjul, the Most Reverend Dr. Gabriel Mendy, has assured people that their hope in God will not be disappointed. And
in his
more
2022 New Year's message, the Reverend Bishop called on the people to renew their hopes and commitment to serving God. He also says that people should have confidence in God's power to fulfill His word and accomplish His will, to be saved from the forces of sin and evil through Jesus Christ.
So my New Year's message is our hope in God will not disappoint us. These were St. Paul's words of exhortation to the Christian community in Rome, in Romans chapter 5, verse 5. He said to them in verses 3 to 5, we should rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint us, because God's love is poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit, which has been given to us.
The coronavirus pandemic, which has hit the world for the past 2 years, is still a danger to human life and activity. So, the Reverend Bishop hopes and prays that the year 2022 will be better than the previous years, as he prays for the eradication of this deadly pandemic, so people can experience good health and resume normal interaction and activity.
Every new year, we have new hope and plans we want to achieve in our lives as individuals, a community of faith, and a nation. We hope for a better new year that is more peaceful, healthy, successful, and prosperous than the previous year. If we experienced misfortune, sickness, and disappointment the year before, we hope for good health, success, and progress in the new year. We look forward to a new year of blessing, favors, good health, and fulfillment in our lives.
The bishop also says that people should be constant in prayer and not lose hope in God despite the challenges of life. He urged every believer to strengthen their hope in God and seek His blessings and protection in their various walks of life.
God will still support us and grant us our spiritual and material needs when we least expect. We have no reason, therefore, to be anxious and doubtful of what will happen to us in this new year. Our future is safely in God's hands, so we should confidently look forward in faith and hope in God's power to sustain and guard us from all misfortune and danger.
At the end of his New Year's message, the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Banjul prayed for the Gambia's peace and development and wished the government, the Christian community, Muslims and believers of other faiths a happy and a flourishing New Year. Reporting for QTV News, I am Yahya Jao.
And we say Amen to all the prayers made by the bishops there. And that will take us to a short commercial break. And when we return, we still have some more local news stories for you and sports.
Q City New Year's Eve Gala. It's the time of the year again. Time to end it with a bang and in style. Join our annual New Year's Eve feast in a breathtaking environment with the amazing Keba Taylor Band and the exceptional Bud Hammer, the man with the golden voice. And to top it all, the jaw-dropping fireworks at midnight to celebrate the beginning of a rocking new year filled with all the happiness in the world. Celebrate and make New Year's resolutions with family and loved ones at Q City. Tickets are only $3,500 seat for individual and $2,000 seat for children 12 and under, and a 10% discount for every table of 10. Call 33-72489 or 33-00056 for more info. Q City New Year's Eve Gala. Cheers to the good life that awaits us all.
Welcome back and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. The so-called black market within the Serekunda market is a place where young men and women engage in income-generating ventures. Zainab Haidara visited the market to see how these young women and men are faring.
The name Black Market is an area in the Serekunda market where business is always booming. While many young people come here to do business to be financially independent and meet their family needs. Some have labeled the place notorious for selling stolen items, especially mobile phones. Asan Samba, a shop owner who sells mobile phones, says he was a tailor before. In 2002, a friend encouraged him to venture into the black market business by selling mobile phones. Now he has his own shop.
waaw loolu moom dëgg la ndax xam nga affaire black market moom moo tëddee noonu ak foo mën a dem nag ci àdduna bi waaye man fii li nga xamante ne man moom laa ci gis xëy na doorin bi gone yi comment mënoon nañoo.
The issue of the black market is always like this because so many people have stigmatized us. That is due to the behavior of some youths. Despite what we keep hearing, there are still lots of people that are responsible, married and are financially stable and helping their families. All this is due to the benefits they gain through their legitimate business in the black market.
Sohnanget, a student, says, Tobaski and Christmas, many people come to the black market to do their shopping. However, others are afraid to come because the youths forcefully pull at their hands, trying to convince them to buy their items. Other youths are there with criminal intent.
Yeah, and I think they should put in police. The government should do something about it because so many people come here to buy, and when people come to buy, they bring money, they bring their phones and stuff. So the government should do something bring police to stand around to look at people, observe how the behavior, to know people who are here to steal, people who are here to buy, and people who are here to just take from other people.
Omar Kamara, a business journalist who sells at the black market, says having young people loitering around the black market is not their wish. And despite many calling them thieves, criminals and other names, Kamara said he is a graphic and interior designer, but a lack of finance forced him to go into petty trading business like his mates.
You see a whole lot of people here having their skills. Some are tailors, but they come here and sell because why? The mechanism put in place by the government for the youth is very minimal. So this is the sole reason why youth are here doing things. You see some youths, they have their workshops. It is not going well. So they have to come here. They have to close their workshop and come here. They sell 1 or 2 mobile phones. After all, they have to go on and continue with their skills work that they are doing. So a whole lot of good people here with skills and talents. So all I'm urging to the government is to see black market as a good place, as a place for the youth.
The black market in Sarakunda has existed for many years and continues to attract hundreds of youths daily to do business. As young people who want to earn a living, this youth says society should stop stigmatizing them and understand that they are there to make ends meet, not to engage in criminal activity. For QTV News, I am Zainab Haidara.
Well, that will take us to the sports news. Well, QTV's AFCON countdown continues with 10 days to go. Who are the favorites of this competition to be played in Cameroon just in 10 days' time? Let's have a look.
The Gambia and the Comoros are first-time qualifiers, but most football analysts seem to believe the AFCON winners will come from one of the big teams or one of the regular qualifiers. Many are not looking beyond reigning champions Algeria and hosts Cameroon. Since winning the last edition, the Algeria team appears to have grown stronger, which they proved in winning the recent FIFA Arab Cup in Qatar. Captain Riyad Mahrez leads a strong squad, who proved their strength in depth in winning the Arab Cup without calling on any of their Europe-based stars. For Cameroon, as always, they are a hard team to beat, and they have the extra incentive of playing at home. Despite not needing to qualify, they nonetheless took part in the qualifiers and they topped their group ahead of Cape Verde. As the countdown continues, all eyes turn to Cameroon for the 9th of January kickoff. Who will win that trophy? No one knows, but the excitement is building. For QTV News, this is Ade Darami.
Well, there are favourites, but the Gambia is hopeful that perhaps they may spring as this tournament surprise package. But before we end the news, let's have a look at our main news headlines. President Barrow has pardoned 21 prisoners following recommendations from the Prerogative of Mercy Committee. In her New Year's message, the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of the Gambia, Reverend Hannah Falheim, has called on followers to be grateful, confident and hopeful in the new year. We also had New Year messages from Reverend James Allen Yao Odiko, the Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Banjul, and the Most Reverend Dr. Gabriel Mendy, the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Banjul. We also visited the so-called black market within the Serekunda market, where young men and women engaged in income-generating ventures say they are not criminals, but just earning a living. And in sports, we've had just a look at some of the favorites of the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon, which is going to kickstart in 10 days' time. And just a reminder that the President's New Year's message is going to follow just immediately after the news bulletin. And that's all we have for you in this bulletin. Thank you very much. A Happy New Year in advance. Bye.